this is what I wanted to talk about. This is more, the video and the rant I'm about to go on is more directed at other professional detailers. Firstly, are you annoyed by functionality of modern cars, things that are automated that get in the way of you doing your job? Little things like this. I carry the key, which has a proximity sensor like pretty much everything since I had a 99 model vehicle that had a proximity sensor that worked really well. It's a Lexus LS430. Everything on the car just made sense. It was logical, and it didn't annoy me with the functionality that the key with the proximity sensor in it enabled. It just did simple little things without getting in the way at all. And the newer the cars have gotten, more than progressed, the more that they seem to do things that, as trade who works on vehicles, specifically a detailer, not a mechanic, I find these get in the way. I spoke to my mechanic and he said, they don't bother me. And I thought, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm getting old and I'm getting annoyed too easily. But little things like this that annoy me, that I think are unnecessary. I'm not even sure how this is engaged. And I'm not sure how to disengage it. I'm sure there's a valet mode that will disengage this function. The worst one for me is anything with a tailgate that opens automatically when it assumes that you're trying to load something into the cargo area. That seems to trigger just constantly. I'm washing a car, I walk around the back of the car to wash it, I wipe it, I do whatever. It always seems to be different. I've tried not to put my feet underneath the rear bar. I've tried everything. And I don't like, if you're saying just put the key out of proximity, sometimes that's 1 or 2 meters. Sometimes it's even further away, which can be annoying because then I have to get back to the vehicle and I need the key to do some specific function. So I have to keep going back and forward. So I just keep the key with me all the time. I also don't keep the key inside the vehicle because, and I can't mention the manufacturer because they asked me not to, really kindly, but I did have a new car once which had the key inside the car. I closed the door, and as I closed the door, the car locked itself. I'm assuming it locked itself because it knew the key was within proximity and it assumed I was leaving the vehicle, and I must have touched the door handle, locked itself, locked the key in the car, didn't know that the key was still in proximity and didn't allow me to open the vehicle. We had to call someone out. It took them about an hour to get into it. We couldn't damage it in any way, couldn't break glass or anything like that, so I had to slowly find a way to get in. We ended up getting in from the boot and sending my daughter, who was about 4 years old at the time, through the ski port inside to retrieve the key, and from inside the car could then unlock the car. So it knew the key was in proximity, it was working fine, the battery and everything. It's just one of those things. It's as you add more functionality, you incur more, or you come across more possible issues. And the issue that affects me the most is door openings, doors opening while I'm washing the car, and water and soap. It's only a little bit, and I clean it up, and it's never really an issue. It's just frustrating, and it slows workflow. My point. Do you think that professional detailers and the customers of the vehicles, because they live with the vehicles most often and they would know them and they probably want some feedback, do you think that those issues could be resolved with an update to valet mode? And my idea is 2 valet modes. One is a valet mode for, how do I put this nicely, for valets you don't trust. So if you take your car to a car wash, you've never been to that car wash before. Again, with my LS430, I could do specific things, like I could have a key that I give to the valet, and they could start the vehicle, move the vehicle, etc. But they couldn't access the glove box. The glove box was locked, so I could put cash and cards and other valuables in the glove box, and they couldn't access the glove box. I thought that was really neat, and it was simple and just worked because it was a physical key that needed to go into the glove box. So a valet mode for the odd car wash, and a valet mode for valets or tradesmen that are working on your vehicle that you trust. For convenience, for this customer, I would say that's obviously how that's activated. For a bunch of my customers who want the convenience of me collecting their car and returning it to them. They allow me to drive the car to and from their office or their home. I would need probably a different level of valet mode, or I would like a different level of valet mode. What I would like is for me to turn off all of this functionality, but allow me to access everything that I would need. The limitations could be speed. There's no reason for me to exceed 100 kilometres an hour. There's no reason for me to rev a vehicle, not an EV, but or you could even limit an EV so that you weren't. There's no way that it could be damaged by overuse. I just don't. I never feel the need to rev it past a certain RPM. In fact, what I do is I usually try and baby the car as much as possible, especially on the way back to the customer. I try to drive in a way where I'm minimising how much braking I'm doing. So when I return the car to the customer, the wheels aren't caked with brake dust. I try to get it to a point where I'm not using the brakes at all, or at least there's no visible brake dust on the wheels. So I'm kind to the car, but perhaps some customers I think, well, it's the first time I've used this detailer, I'm not sure. I don't want them to be able to rev the car out to red line. I don't want them to be able to do 150 kilometres an hour, 200 kilometres an hour. I don't want him to do a bunch of other things, but I want to give him full access to everything, and I don't want him to be hindered, and I also don't want things opening and closing unnecessarily and adjusting door handles coming out. Now, this might seem, you might say, as a professional detailer, you might say to me, you're being a bit much, but I think that these simple software changes can, from a brand, especially a brand like Tesla, which they like to kind of do these kind of things, and a brand like Porsche like to get things right. I love working on Porsches. They just, all the materials and the way that things go together, the fit and finish, the functionality, everything seems to be good. I just love these kind of things sorted. Every time I'm wiping a vehicle like that, the door handle pops out and it hits me in the back of the hand, and I feel like I'm hurting the car and I'm hurting myself. I'm getting a little bit frustrated with things that are happening which don't need to happen. Yes, this can all be solved by moving the key out of the way, but sometimes if I move the key out of the way just 2 meters, that's not far enough. It's still within proximity, which seems a little weird, but there might be a reason that they've done that. They want you within 2 meters to have door handles opened and the car to kind of greet you. But these things seem to do nothing but make me frustrated and slow down my workflow, and they can be resolved with simple software fixes. What do you think? Do you think I'm being too much? Do you think we can solve this by software fixes? Do you think maybe professional detailers and customers, we could all get together and collaborate to have a list of makes, models, and the functionality, how to access the valet mode, how to adjust the valet mode, so customers can adjust the valet mode to make my life a little bit easier so I can be more efficient when I'm working on your vehicle, and also to block out anything that we don't need. I've heard that some valet modes allow you to drive the car as you wish. I don't think that's good. A valet shouldn't ever need to redline an engine, shouldn't need to exceed 100 kilometres an hour in Australia anyway. I think that if we could get together and solve this problem, it'd be really simple fixes, and I think it shouldn't take too much to get done. I'm going to stop ranting. Let me know what you think, if this is something we can get together to do, or if I've just blown this whole thing out of proportion, it can be solved by me putting the key 4 meters away.